everybody. Welcome back. Alabama Politics This Week. Josh Moon, David Person, and we are happy now to have with us Jeremy Devito, who is running for Congress in the 5th District, as all the Democrats are that we have on, apparently. Apparently we got a lot of folks, we got a lot of good candidates running for office in this race, and spreading around some good ideas. It's really making Dale Strong's lunacy and his tendency to run to the right all the time look very, very problematic for him. Jeremy, first of all, thanks for joining us and coming in. And I guess, man, this is after last night. We're on after the Tuesday elections. What are your thoughts now heading into this thing?
Riding high. I started my election campaign basically with the truth of we're better than this, that there are more of us than there are of them, and people are sick and tired of the politics and the games that are being played up in Washington, D.C., and even at the state level. And every single election since then has more or less bore that out. Not to mention the things that are happening in our local like the protests and people showing up to school board meetings and going to kind of community. Like, people are charged and energized, and this is just more proof. So I'm riding high right now. I love it. It's more evidence to me of it's the right time to start getting real elected leaders in office.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I'll say too, this has got to be particular. What happened last night has got to be particularly worrisome for Dale Strong in a district that includes Huntsville, where so many government employees reside. There are a ton of folks here who are currently furloughed. We got a bunch of friends around us in our neighborhoods and in our area here that we know who are on furlough currently and struggling. We also have a bunch of people who went through the whole Musk what Doge nonsense in which they put everybody down and fired a bunch of people, laid them off, and did just terrible things. Had people fearful for their jobs for weeks out there, and it's got to be concerning to Dale Strong, right? What happened last night in Virginia, where it's not just that the Democrats got elected there. Okay. I mean, Democrats tend to get elected, as we brought up in the open, in Virginia. That's not uncommon, but the massive shifts in those numbers from, if you dig into the data there, county by county, the massive shifts in numbers to the Democrats from the 2024 election, was pretty striking to see, right?
Yeah, and think about it's a midterm. It's a special election. Like, there's no other presidential candidates on the ballot when people typically come out and vote. So it's overwhelming. It's my message to folks. We need to overwhelm the ballot box. That is how we win, even in gerrymandered districts, when that apathy sets in. But yeah, if Dale Strong's not worried, if Republican leaders aren't worried right now, they're fooling themselves. They're going to have that bravado. They're going to have that message that they seemingly pull off of a fax machine every day. Like, here's our talking points for the day. Democratic Schumer shutdown, illegal aliens is what they call them. Democrats want to provide this and handouts for everyone. But the reality is the math just ain't mathing, y'all. People want real answers and real solutions, and they're blaming Republicans for it. Even Donald Trump is coming out and saying that this morning. Like, hey, I'm worried that the government shutdown has cost us. So I feel like they're going to see exactly. I think we're going to see an end to the shutdown, and Democrats are going to get what they want out of that too. What we all need, honestly. It's not just what Democrats want, it's what we need.
Jeremy, earlier you said something that kind of stuck in my brain. You said there's more of us than there are of them. When you said that, when you think about that, who do you see as us and who do you see as them?
That's a good question. For me, I think us versus them is the corporate oligarchy, right? The wealthiest people, the donor class, the folks who are really pulling the strings behind a lot of politics across this country. And we're starting to see that now, that's been the message from a lot of these people is let's change, especially here in my campaign. The overwhelming majority of people who support my campaign love the fact that I'm not taking corporate money, love the fact that I'm not backed by big donors. I've got no large donation, like maxed out donations, and I'm proud of that fact. So when I say us versus them, what I'm saying is it's the working class, it's the average person versus the wealthy and the comfortable right now. Even in the most dire times right now, these people aren't feeling the pressure. You know, Dale Strong's a multimillionaire, so he can go without that congressional paycheck. I don't think I don't know. I know I couldn't miss more than one paycheck if any. I don't know how many other folks. So that's the us versus them. That's the working class solidarity here is what I'm preaching.
Hmm. So when you think about the 5th Congressional District, which of course is anchored by Huntsville, but, extends far outside of the Huntsville metro area into some other counties that are maybe more working class, less centered around, government enterprises. Uh, do you think that us versus them analogy is applicable to the 5th Congressional District as a whole?
Sure. Some of my strongest support comes out of Scottsboro, which is a largely agrarian rural support area. Because the message isn't just about working class us versus them. It's about what does the working class need? What does the average person want? And overwhelmingly, the number one issue, and you guys probably know this, healthcare. Our hospitals are closing. I was listening to the Alabama Farmers Federation podcast that they did earlier this year after the first legislative session. The number one topic they talked about, and they back Republicans, was healthcare in their rural communities. That's the working class issue. It's healthcare, the economy, stop these tariffs, help grow the economy. Small businesses, farmers are small business owners. Big ag is crushing them too. And so, yeah, out there in Scottsboro, when I talk about that, or out in Rogersville, or even down south as far as like Priceville, I talk about the effects, the impacts that the politics of the donor class, the oligarchy has had on actually crushing and harming our rural communities. And I would agree with you. I actually want to focus more outside of Huntsville because that's where the real big issues are.
I've got 2 more questions for you, Jeremy. The first one is a little heavier. The second one is pretty much a softball question, I guess. Um, what would you say as you assess the tenure of Dale Strong? What would you say you have seen that is the most problematic about his term, his tenure as the 5th Congressional District's congressperson?
Yeah, so that sticks out perfectly for me. I can tell you one thing right away that really bugs me about Dale Strong. Two things, really. One, he sits on the FEMA subcommittee, and FEMA is being gutted right now. Department of Homeland Security is running rampant. He's not doing his job on the subcommittees that he's enlisted to. He's letting us down, and we need FEMA support in the South and the Southeast. I made a video earlier today. We have tornado sirens that don't work in Limestone County, right? But we don't ever hear about his FEMA work. He's only doing his photo ops, right? Going to shake hands with the emergency workers. But when it comes to getting the money that we need, he's not advocating for that. He's leaving his duties, derelict in his duties. And I cannot accept that. The second thing is I look at the legislation that he's proposed, and it is donor corporate class 101. He is robbing the taxpayer by putting up the Spaceport Act. The Spaceport Act is 2 times he's reintroduced it. And basically what that's going to allow is for, aerospace is a huge industry here, but they're not hurting, right? Like these contractors, these defense contractors aren't hurting, but they want to be able to use our tax money to fund private infrastructure projects. And he uses the guise of national security to do all of this. And I can't accept that. It's a clear signal to me that he works for that donor class, for those corporations that are pouring money into his campaign. If you look at his donations, huge big ag, huge corporation money. And then if I could just say a third thing, he is a ghost. He is afraid to face his constituents. What kind of leader, what kind of representative hides from what they consider paid Soros activists or radical Antifa? We can't be both, right? We're just average Alabama constituents. That makes no damn sense to me. So, you know
Gotcha.
what, Dale Collin, take a
Gotcha.
few notes, listen to the podcast. I can give you some more tips.
Yeah. Here's my softball question, Jeremy. Are you related to Danny DeVito?
I wish. I honestly wish, and there's a strategy that I have hopefully after the primary because he's also a Democrat. He's very avowed, like very vocal support. He's actually considers himself a social democrat. Um,
Ah,
no direct relation, but a lot of similarities politically and comedy wise. I enjoy his comedy. I watch his shows and I've always been a fan, but no direct relation that I know of. There's a lot. I went
okay.
to New York a couple of years ago, decades ago, really, and I opened up the phone book there just to see how many Devitos were in New York. It was probably as big as the yeah, I don't know how old your audience is, but most people don't even remember phone books, but it was probably bigger than the Athens phone book, just the number of
Wow.
DeVitos there.
Wow.
It was
Okay.
tons.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, we probably should have started with this, but and that's my fault. But tell us about your background. Who you are, where you come from, where you grew up, how you got here.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Clarksville, Tennessee. It's a military town right on the border of Kentucky. My dad was a
I've
veteran.
taken the last train there before. Yeah.
Like the one, right? You know who the most famous person to come out of Clarksville, Tennessee, in my opinion, is? There's two. Well, one is Wilma Rudolph, the
Yeah.
Olympic
Really?
track. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's from Clarksville. Second one
Okay.
would be Pat Summitt, the UT
Yeah.
Go Vols, UT
Really?
basketball women's coach. Yep.
Okay.
So there's two claims to fame there. There's probably more that I don't know, but Jimi Hendrix bought his first guitar there. I could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Okay.
anyway, yeah. So I'm from Clarksville, Tennessee. I was born and raised there. I went to high school there. My dad, he was a veteran. That's how he ended up there, stationed at Fort Campbell. My mom and him split up when I was, young. But my dad, he's an electrician. My mom is, uh, working class, just retail, service and hospitality. Neither one of them went to college. So I was raised in Clarksville, went to school there after high school. I tried college, wasn't really for me, and I'm still trying. Like I've got my associate's degree, but I'm still working on it. I
Yeah.
love to learn. I'm so involved in everything right now. It just seems like constant state of urgency. I don't know if
Yeah.
you know what it's like to be a millennial, but anyway. Um, so I went to college, didn't really finish there, but went through retail management, and then I took a job for the TSA. So I was actually a part of the first rollout of TSA, and I went to New York. That's where I looked at the phone book to help them at JFK Airport roll out their new federalized security. Spent some time with the TSA, about 2 years, came back, decided I wanted to do college, went back to retail management, joined the Army in '08, did 4 years active duty as PSYOP, deployed twice to Afghanistan, once to Haiti in support of Green Berets and Navy SEALs. So I was on the ground with Navy SEALs and Green Berets, living amongst the folks in Afghanistan, building up their local police force and trying to get them not to shoot at us and kill us. So after the Army, I got out, struggled to find my footing. I was married, so I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I'm an activist here in my personal life. Volunteer soccer coach here locally at the Athens Middle School. Got 3 kids, 4 dogs, and now I work in procurement. So I was a car buyer, but then I turned into a procurement agent. So reading terms and conditions, negotiating deals, stakeholder engagement, all that PSYOP training that I got, I'm putting it to good use.
Right. All right. I know it's great. Everything except for the soccer. But
You know
yeah,
what?
I
Living
mean,
in the South, I've heard that about 100
right.
million times.
That's if we can't use our hands, we're in trouble.
I'm a sports fan in general. Okay,
Right.
I
I
love all
got you.
sports.
No. I got you. I do think, that folks like you, people that have experience with just the basic working class life, the troubles, the struggles, the things that impact people. I feel like right now there could be a shift, in American politics, to electing a lot of people like you. And and I wonder if over what the reception for you has been like. You mentioned the farmers federations. I don't know if you've spoken to a lot of farmers. I've spoken to a few here of late. They all seem to be fairly disenchanted with the Republican Party overall, and particularly the one here in this state. And I'll be honest, a lot of them are fairly disenchanted with the Farmers Federation and their continued support of Republican candidates, just blindly. What has your experience been like with some of those folks? So especially some of the more typically conservative groups.
Yeah, so conservatives, I mean, you can't live in Alabama without having friends or family who are conservatives, right? Like
Hmm.
Right.
it is what it is, right?
Right.
These are my friends and my neighbors. I mean, my family. Like we go to barbecues and stuff.
Right.
Um, Reception. I haven't talked much to the MAGA folks right now because we're in the primary, right? If you're talking
Sure.
about Republicans and conservatives in general, be quiet. My dog's over there growling. Conservatives and such. So I have an approach that I like to use. The reception has been the most vocal ones online are like, we don't want no Soros, Antifa, leftists. I mean, that's online though, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
talk face to face, people, I'm an engaging person, not to toot my own horn, but like I engage in conversation with almost anyone because that's what politics is really about. It's like sharing your ideas, getting to know that person. And if I can persuade you, I will. If you're not persuadable, then you wouldn't be talking to me, right? You'd be on your guard. So my reception has been, I think they're scared of someone like me, honestly. If they're really engaged in politics, I mean, this is a triple threat here. A veteran, how many Democratic veterans, active duty war veteran, like that wasn't something that I wanted to lean into. That's something that people responded to. That's a
Right.
small piece of my background. I'm very diverse when it comes to my experiences, but that's the part that really I think bothers them because they hone in on that and they try and poke holes in that.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other things is I'm unapologetically a defender of human rights in any way, shape, or form, and I think that's where Democrats kind of lost it a little bit from their own base. Is they get squishy on those things. MAGA, if I'm separating MAGA and Republicans. If there's a Republican out there who is not going to vote for Dale Strong, they will already have made up their mind or are looking at me as the potential to upset that apple cart. Um, because I have the veteran background, a working class background, and I'm just very friendly, personable, and I'm a political junkie, right?
Yeah.
Like I stay involved with things, and I'm not afraid to have tough conversations, which is what these conversations with MAGA are, with
Yeah.
Republicans are. They're tough conversations.
Well, man, listen, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you running and getting out there and showing people that there are options, that there are
Yeah.
every time somebody gets into a race like this on the other side of these Republicans, it opens up the door and it makes it easier for other folks to do it, even if you're not ultimately successful, which I think you will be, but even if you're not ultimately successful, it opens that door up a little wider for somebody to come through later, because I think it opens people's eyes to the messaging that's out there, and it forces them to see that there are other human beings out there with ideas that kind of closely resemble their own, and that this caricature that has been painted by the right of the left is just untrue and frankly idiotic. But man, thank you so much for coming on and spending some time with us and for running for office.
Of course. Thank you both so much for your time, and I appreciate it.